Today I'm going to show you a sequence that is a very gentle sequence that's going to help to stretch all of the muscles around the pelvic floor area and also the internal pelvic floor to try and release tension out of that area. This is a practice that you can do daily and it's suitable for pretty much all bodies. One thing that I would say is take it really slow and just feel into your body as you're moving. If anything feels painful, you want to back away. You want to feel sensation and you want to feel like you're activating and stretching, but we want to make sure that there's no more pain or tension coming into the area. One of the really important things is that we're trying to release pressure and strain out of the area of those muscles that have become tight for various reasons. Maybe because of dysfunction in other muscles, maybe because of injury, maybe because of trauma or emotional stress that you're holding on to in your body. Either way, the aim of this sequence is to create safety signals in the body, to allow the body to start to let go of that tension it's holding and relax. So it's designed to feel really good and be nice and gentle. We're going to start on our back, and all you need is a little cushion or a bolster to have with you. I'm going to place a cushion under the back of my head, and you don't have to do that, but it can feel really nice. You're lying on your back, your knees are bent, your arms are out in a T at the sides of the body, and the first thing that you're going to do is just allow the weight of your body to land into the ground. So the shoulder blades are settling, back of the pelvis is settling, the back of the hands, the head and the soles of the feet. Take a couple of breaths into the belly. And as you breathe into the belly, make sure that the belly is rising with the breath. The pelvic floor is moving down towards your feet and the low back is moving down towards the ground. As you're exhaling, the pelvic floor draws up towards your head, the lower back rises away from the ground, and the navel drops down towards the spine. So a couple of breaths like that. You're increasing the internal space in the abdomen as you breathe in and decreasing as you breathe out. So expanding on the inhale, contracting on the exhale. And then we're going to start to slowly just rock the knees from side to side. You're only rocking as far as the back of the pelvis stays completely steady on the ground. And we're just noticing, how does that feel in my hips, in the muscles of my glutes, in my pelvic floor, even in my back and my belly. Is it possible for me to move like this and keep tension out of the shoulders and the throat and even the low back? You can do this movement for about 30 seconds, and then you can start to move the knees a little deeper. So you're tilting from side to side, tipping the pelvis now, allowing the knees to go as far as they easily fall. This will bring a little bit of torsion, a little bit of twist into the low back and the rib cage. And it's going to start to release out the diaphragm under the ribs, which works in conjunction with your pelvic floor. So we need that to be nice and soft. It's also going to bring some movement into the T-spine, the thoracic area, which also relates down to all of the movements of the pelvic bowl. So we want to release that area too. And now you're going to drop your knees off to the left as far as they want to fall and take your gaze to the right. Shrug your shoulders down away from your ears and breathe into your belly. 3 nice big breaths. Bring the nose and the knees back to the center and drop the knees off to the right, gaze to your left. Again, shrugging the shoulders down. Breathing into the belly and just allowing the hips and the shoulders and the back to release into the ground. And then bringing the knees and the nose back to the center. I'm going to straighten the right leg away on the ground, flexing the ankle. Bring the left knee in towards your chest, interlink your fingers on the shin bone just under your knee, and let the weight of your hand drop your knee and your thigh down towards your belly. The right leg is staying nice and active, pushing away through the heel of that leg, and we're making sure that the chin is lower than or level with the forehead. As you're breathing, still breathing down into the pelvic floor, down into the low back, out into the belly. And then releasing, letting everything rise and contract back in.
Allow the shoulders to be soft and the front of the throat to be soft. And we're going to come into half happy baby. So we bring the hands around to the back of the knee. We point the sole of the foot towards the sky, and we're pushing away with that right heel again. So the whole of the thigh is moving up towards that left ear, and you're anchoring down through the back of the right thigh with steadiness and stability in the pelvis, softening out the back of the neck. And we can take a few little circles with that ankle, releasing that really important channel that runs from the ankle up the inner seam of the trousers to the womb, nourishing all of the tissues around the pelvic floor and the reproductive organs. The next move is a bit of a funny one. We release the hands. We're going to roll onto our right side, keeping our left leg in that same shape and allowing it to land onto the ground until we roll all the way around onto our belly and our forearms, and that left knee is up parallel with the left hip. We look down and make sure the left heel is in line with the left knee, and we flex the left foot. So we're in half frog here. We try to be on the front of that right thigh. We drop the shoulders and we're just breathing. And some of you might find it's more comfortable to lie flat on your belly with your head on the ground. Some of you might find that it feels really tight or stiff today, in which case you're going to stay up on your elbows. All we're trying to do is stretch the inner thigh, inner pelvic floor muscles here. And notice how that feels in the SI joints at the very back of the pelvis. If it feels pinchy, if it feels tight, then this is one that you might be practicing a little bit more often. You can really stay here for as long as you like, letting this practice be very personal to you. So maybe you have 40 minutes and you can stay for longer. If you're just doing a quick daily practice, we're now going to roll back onto our back and reset back into the middle. So knees are bent, hips are on the ground, arms are out at the side. Just make sure everything's nice and level. Left leg goes away, flex the foot. Right knee comes into the chest, interlink the fingers, bring them underneath the knee, and draw that right thigh up towards the right shoulder. Pushing away with the left heel, keeping the left leg active. Maybe see how it feels to tilt the pubic bone up towards your face, but the chin down towards your chest. Does that create more ease and space in the back body? We're breathing still down into the pelvic floor, into the belly. And then we're going to come into our half happy baby. Hands come to the back of the thighs, flex the foot, sole of the foot points towards the sky, shoulders are down. We're still pushing away and anchoring down with that left heel. And then we're going to release the hands, and this time we're rolling to the left, letting that right knee come out parallel to the right hip. We're folding all the way around until the belly is facing the floor. Up onto your forearms or down on your belly, top of the left knee and top of the left foot pressing down into the mat. And then we look down and make sure that right heel is straight line down from the right knee, toes pointing out to the sides, and we breathe here. Half frog pose. Again, you can stay here for as little or as long as feels good in your body. Anywhere that feels tight or tender, direct your breath there and invite a softening of the tissues. Remember that we're trying to send those safety signals to the body, so nothing should feel painful. This is not about pushing through pain, it's about releasing into softness. And then we're going to, this time, extend that right leg away behind us until we come to lying on our belly. And we can take that cushion underneath the belly, or you might have a bolster here. We're going to bend the knees and we're going to windscreen wiper the legs from side to side. So that same movement we did on our back, but now on our belly. It's nice if you place something under the belly here to raise up a little bit. It's a really good release for the thighs, also for the sacroiliac, and just gets into that pelvic floor in a slightly different way. Allow that rocking movement to travel all the way up through the spine. And then let the feet go. Tuck the toes under, bring the hands under the shoulders. Push up, and we're going to press back into a child's pose there. You might even have your head onto that cushion. Letting the hips release, shins release. And nice big breaths here into the back body. Your big toes are in together and your knees are out wide. Back of the neck is resting. And once again, we're breathing down into that pelvic floor. Belly expands, pelvic floor moves down, back fleshes out on the inhale. If this feels really good, you can stay here for a nice long time. If it feels tight in the groin and the hip flexors, just stay for one more breath. Lift your head and we're going to move into a moving child's pose. So we rock forwards, lift the chest and look up. We press out to the hands round the spine and rock back down to the hips. So the inhale takes us forwards, firmly draw the arms bones back, open the collarbones, soften the neck, press out of those hands round the spine and come back. Let's go a couple more times. This is a great release for the low back. And it takes pressure off the pelvic floor by softening all those tissues that are adjacent to the pelvic floor. Breathing in on the forwards movement, out on the backwards movement. And then we're going to come to sitting back, bottom onto the heels, slide the hands back in. From here, you're going to take your little cushion or your bolster and you're going to place it just at the back of your toes there, so it's sitting on your toes. Bring your hands forwards, tuck the toes and press back so your heels are on the cushion or the bolster and you're in low squat or malasana, garland squat. I'm walking my feet apart and I'm going to bring my fingers down and separate each one of these toes. A bit like those little separators, you know, they used to use in the nail varnish parlor to keep your toes apart. So we want those toes to be active. We want the big toe and the little toe as active as each other. And then when I'm in this position to start with, I'm just going to notice, am I lifting and tensing my pelvic floor? Or is it able to stay soft? The same thing with the glute muscles, the bum muscles. Are they tight or can you soften them here? And then we want to start breathing down into the pelvic floor. So forwards into the belly, down into the pelvic floor, also into the low back. And maybe this is enough to just stay here. If it feels even too strong to stay here and your balance is a little bit wonky, bring your fingers down onto the ground. The other option is, if this is feeling really good and really stable, you can bring your elbows to the inside and just press out there. So pressing out into the knees and breathing up into your chest, making sure that the big toe and little toe are pressing down and you're breathing softly into the pelvic floor, into the belly. So it's a lovely deep stretch for all of those muscles that relate to the pelvic floor. It's also great for the elimination processes. If you're someone who tends towards having a sluggish bowel, this is a really good one to do every day. And it's great for low back pain. Okay, and then we're going to bring the hands down and we're going to release forwards. And we're going to come into our cat-cow. So wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. You can tuck the toes under for this. And as you inhale, arch the spine, look up. As you exhale, press into the hands and the feet, rounding. Inhale, softening and arching. Exhale, rounding up. And really stay connected to those 4 pillars of support, your hands and your feet. Anchor down into the earth and allow that softness, that freedom of movement in the spine, letting the head hang, filling the chest with air. And then this time staying right up in the rounding and breathe into the spine and just wag your hips from side to side like a dog shaking its tail. Just loosening everything out. Okay. Untuck the toes, stay in this position, open the right hand up, take a big stretch. And as you exhale, thread it all the way over and under, turn your head to the side. Bring the hand forwards and breathe here. Breathe down into your bottom, into the pelvic floor, into the belly. Allow that right shoulder to soften into the ground. And we're just stretching the
thoracic spine, the rib cage and the diaphragm here. All the top parts of that abdominal cavity. And then we slide the left hand back and we'll open all the way back up again and place it down. Just swaying the hips and the shoulders, resetting, loosening, noticing if you've brought any tension back in the body, or does everything feel really good? Maybe you can take another deep breath, open. Exhale, thread it over and under, turn the head to the side, hand comes long, tailbone is up, belly is down, breathing into your bottom. And then slide that right hand back. Come back to all fours and just take some little all fours hip circles here. Now hip circles are really our friends when we're trying to release tension from the pelvic floor. You can do them seated, you can do them kneeling, you can do them standing, you can do them in this all fours position. And then we're going to come into a standing kneel. So in our standing kneel here, we're going to come forwards and circle. So remember this sequence that we were doing to release the pelvic floor. I have another whole video that just looks at this little sequence in isolation, but it's such a lovely one to do at any time of the day. You can do it standing or kneeling, just to release tension from the pelvic floor and to help the hips move freer. So we start with these nice loose circles, and we'll go one way and then back the other way, loosening, just let those arms be nice and loose. And then we're going to come front to back, so I'm tilting the pubic bone down, lifting the tailbone up, moving through here. And these can be little tiny tilts, or they can be big tilts. And then we're going to take little smiley faces with the hips. So one hip is hiking, the other one is hiking. You're kind of drawing this U shape there with the hips. So also getting side waist obliques involved here. And then the last one is we're going to imagine that there is a string hanging down off our tailbone, there's a pencil on it, and on the floor we're going to write our full name, first name, middle name and last name. And we're just going to see if we can get our pelvis to work in ways that it wouldn't traditionally be moving. So our joints, they love movement, but they love movement in all their directions. And so often we only move in one plane of movement, or maybe two. And we also then stick in positions. We stay in positions for really long times, like sitting or standing. And so when we move like this, we bring freedom, looseness back into the joints. So motion is lotion. And then letting go, and just let those arms do a nice lateral swing. Okay, so if at this point your knee feels like a little bit wonky on the ground, it feels a little bit sore, roll up a blanket, place it underneath your standing knee. We're going to take our right leg forwards, and we're not straight forwards, we're slightly out on a diagonal. And we're going to move that kneecap towards the second and third toe. We're just starting by seeing how does that feel. We're putting equal pressure in front foot and back foot. The pressure stays the same whether we go back or we go forwards. And then we're going to come back and stretch the back leg and forwards into that lunge. And it's not the biggest, deepest version of this. It's gentle. We're just thinking about stretching the fascia, stretching all those tissues. And then we can bring some nice openness and contraction. So extension here in the spine, open the hands, exhale back down again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Come all the way back up. We're going to round the clock, pad our knee all the way out into that lateral lunge, and then lunging to the side there. And you can kind of let this arm just be a little bit rocky here as we pad. And we're also paying attention to that back leg and the front leg, both feet working equally. And then we're going to stay forwards. I'm going to swing out in those nice big circles there, releasing the top of the body, the back and the shoulders, any tension from there. And press out of that foot, bring it back. And just take a couple of circles in each direction. Great. Okay, so let's come to the other side. Prop underneath that knee if you need to. Bring the leg forwards. Take it slightly out to the side, connecting to both feet. Rocking front to back, staying in connection with the feet. How is it feeling? And then we'll come into that back leg stretch, back into the lunge, back of the leg stretch. Now this time opening up, exhale, closing in. Opening the whole of the chest up to the sky, exhale. Opening, exhale. One more time. Come back up to the center, padding that leg out through all the points of the clock face. And then out to the lateral lunge. And again, it's not about going to your deepest lunge. We're not performing. We're not like doing yoga. We're not trying to win at stretching our pelvic floor. It's just a softness. It's just like ease. And we're giving ourselves permission to not have to do the hardest, to push the furthest, to be the quote unquote best. It's just like, does this feel good? And if it feels good, then great. Then we're doing it. We're doing some love for our body. We're sending those safety signals. I'm going to look after you. I'm going to do things that feel really good for you. We don't have to do anything we don't want to. We have choice. And choice is one of the biggest indicators of safety. When we know that we have permission to say no, that's when we feel really safe. And we'll come all the way back up and bring that knee in and just circling around. And then we're going to come back down to sitting. And if you had a little cushion or a bolster, we're going to take it underneath our hips. So we're going to come round into Baddha Konasana, our cobbler's pose. Just do some active butterfly stretching here. And let the knees go, take the arms up, inhale. As we exhale, fold forwards, drop the head. Let the skull be the heaviest thing in your body. And allow that nice curve to come into the spine. Breathe down into the pelvic floor, breathe into the belly. And then slowly, slowly walking the hands back up, lift the knees, stretch the legs out, lean back and take some nice big old circles with those ankles, both directions. And then we'll shake loose, so really getting looseness into that ankle, into the feet, into the calves, into the knees, into the thighs and the hips, and this lovely shaking, lovely somatic movement to release tension, especially stress hormones, out of our legs and the lower body tissue. So this shaking is such a great movement to do, and you can do it all over your body. So we'll just bring the legs back into our comfortable cross-legged position. Check in with the rib cage. How does that feel? Take a nice big stretch. Press the hands away. Inhale. And exhale. Down the middle, just connecting into our heart space. Promising that we will try our best to listen to our heart more than our head. To honor our heart as our greatest teacher. And we bow to each other. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.